Today is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. And today is a day that will change this channel forever because today is launch day. Welcome, episode 1 of Prime Gear Weekly, the podcast where we talk about what has your gas tingling. Now, for those of you who don't know, in this industry, gas is gear acquisition syndrome, or as my wife likes to call it, shiny object syndrome. And I got to tell you, did we pick a great week to start? This past week, 2 weeks, even this past month, there's been a lot of cameras announced and or released. But what we're going to find out is it ultimately worth running out and getting the newest gear? Or should you just, pass that gas and let it go? All right. So we're going to start off with what I feel is a sleeper. Whether it's compact cameras or just cameras in general, I feel like this camera is a sleeper. And that is the Fuji X-T5. It was just announced, and we all know what Fuji is going to bring to the table as far as a photo camera. But for video, these specs, 6.2K video, 30 frames per second, 4222 10-bit. And then you got 4K with 6.2K downsampled. You got 12-bit Apple ProRes RAW output at up to 6.2K and 30 frames per second over HDMI to Atmos recorders. Blackmagic RAW output at up to 6.2K and 30 frames per second over HDMI. Blackmagic Video Assist 12G. F-Log 2, 13 stops of dynamic range. And it's coming in at $16.99 for just the body and $2,099 if you want to get it with the new Fuji XF 30mm 2.8 aperture lens that was also just announced. That's going to be a bad little lens right there, boy. So look, like I said, we all know what Fuji cameras brings with photos, but on paper, this thing at first glance might be a video beast. So if you're using the Fuji X mount system already, then this might be something you might want to try and pick up, see what it can do. But if you don't have the Fuji X mount system, I honestly can't say I'd recommend this over something like the Sony FX30, which is in that same price range if you're looking into this camera for just video purposes. But maybe we can get our hands on one and test it out and, show you guys what it's all about. Because at the end of the day, the one thing I can say is Fuji cameras are underrated and very good with colors. I'm actually recording this podcast on an XH1, and I love this camera. I haven't done a full review on it yet, but I just released a video, which I'll try to pin up here, where I literally just shot the video, edited in the sense of cutting unuseful footage out and doing what I needed to do. There was no color grading or anything. Literally the colors are what came straight out the camera. So, that's why I said this camera with them specs is going to be very underrated and it's going to be a sleeper compared to the next two we're going to talk about. All right. Secondly, you can't talk about gear without talking about Sony. And Sony just dropped a beast. They just announced the A7R5, and look, on paper, this is a spec'd out beast. But it's an A7R, which is a photographer first camera, and I'm okay with that. And I really feel if you are a professional photographer who wants a great camera that can also do amazing video, then this one's for you. And I honestly feel like this is one time where Sony got it right. Usually cameras are either photographers or photo first and it lacks good video, or it's a video first and lacks the ability for professional photographers to use it for client work. But this does both things really well. Spec-wise, we're talking 61 megapixels full frame, real-time autofocus tracking, 8K video at 24 frames per second, 4K video at 60 frames per second, 1080p at 120 frames per second, 10-bit raw, 4K 16-bit raw output. You get S-Log3 and S-Cinetone. Like, if this is Sony making a photography first camera a beast, can you imagine when it's time for their next video first camera, the A7 S4 or even the A7 V? Like, oh my. But for the specs you get in this beast, it's not cheap by any means. Coming in at $3,898 for just the body. And I didn't even look up, if it comes in a kit with a kit lens and how much that would be, because that body price alone is just, whew. Oh man. And can someone tell me why Sony is out here trying to flex on everyone right now? Like, they dropped the FX30, which is for $1,700 is a beast for video. Then they dropped the ZV-1F for anyone looking to get into content creation, which for what it is designed for, ain't the worst option. I'd rather just use my phone if it was me personally. And then, then they come with the hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished with the A7R5? Like, what's up, Sony? Like, why are y'all flexing out here like that right now? But then, someone at Canon was watching Sony release these monster video cameras, and they was like, no, we wasn't ready. Hold my beer, because Canon came with the R6 Mark II. Woo, coming in at $2,499 for the body and $2,799 for the kit with the 24 to 105 millimeter kit lens, which in my opinion is one of the best kit lenses out there. Like, I personally am in love with that kit lens. When I had my Canon RP, I used that lens all the time. And I gotta say, for a kit lens that wasn't a prime, like, that lens is just, mwah. I love that lens, man. But with the R6 Mark II, spec-wise, you get 24 megapixels with a full-frame sensor, 4K uncropped video at up to 60 frames per second, oversampled from 6K. You get 1080p at up to 180 frames per second for you slow-mo freaks. You get C-Log3 with a 6K up to 59 frames per second raw on an external recorder. Like, them specs at that price, like Canon, Sony was out here flexing beasting, and Canon, hey, they came with the body blow. Like, hold up, we not just laying down like that. Like, that's not how this working, Sony. They're not letting it slide like that. So this is the second variation of the R6, and on paper, it's definitely no slouch. I definitely can't wait to get my hands on one and see what it can do. Like, I love Sony cameras. It's no secret. I'm a Sony boy. But Canon video straight out the camera, like, it's just something about it, like, that I can't get with my Sony cameras unless I color grade. And, I'm not a Sony fanboy in the sense of ill Canon, because, I think every camera company makes good cameras, and every camera has its place. Like, I'm, using a Fuji X-H1 to do these videos, I'm not tied to any one company, but I'm just honest. And I'll say, like, Canon color straight out the camera is just something about it that's way better than, Sony at times, in my opinion. But overall, those were the three things that were dropped recently or announced recently that I, caught my attention, got my fancy going. So, I just want to kind of, talk about them for a second. Hopefully we can get our hands on one or two of them and do a little review and test video, but we'll see. But, I just want to say that it is an exciting time to be a creator. Like, these companies are all fighting for space in the market, trying to outdo each other, and it's benefiting all of us. Like, there is a camera or a tool for everyone in every job, whether you're a TikToker using your iPhone or Galaxy or OnePlus to create videos, a photographer using your Fuji to take amazing photos, or a YouTuber using your A7S III to make awesome videos. Or maybe you're a filmmaker building a small rig to make a short film. Creating is endless these days. All you need is your brain and an ideal, and you can get it done. But until next time we talk about it, I'm Big Will Allen Creative, and I'll see you on the next go around.